Hello, my name is Hunter Austin and I am recording this video in completion of my International Relations class at Bloomsburg University. I am a history and political science major and I picked this topic as I feel it is important to understand the historical background which led to recent events in American-Iranian relations. Thus, let's begin our talk on a brief history of American-Iranian relations since 2008. Going into the 2008 United States presidential election, tensions between the United States and Iran were already very high. During his presidency, President George W. Bush had labeled Iran as a part of the axis of evil during a speech, identifying it as a major threat to global security. This seriously strained relations between the two countries. Likewise, Iran argued that the United States was using its military to infringe on Iran's sovereignty. Iran thus introduced attempts at dialogue, which were largely rejected by the Bush administration, which increased mistrust. At the same time, the Bush administration was criticizing Iran's nuclear program, fearing it could lead Iran to acquire nuclear weapons. The United States had also accused Iran of supporting insurgent groups against the United States during the War on Terror. Finally, during the Bush administration, the United States imposed economic sanctions on Iran, further escalating tensions leading into the election. During the Barack Obama administration from 2009 to 2017, relations between the United States and Iran went through both tensions and progress. Early on, relations seemed like they might improve. However, the disputed 2009 re-election of Mahmoud Ahmadinejad sparked major protests in Iran. The United States questioned his legitimacy, which strained relations once again. Then, in 2011 and 12, Iran threatened to close the Strait of Hormuz in response to the sanctions placed on them, leading to a naval standoff with the United States. However, despite the rising tensions, neither side took military action. Things shifted in 2013 with the election of Hassan Rouhani, a more moderate leader. That same year, Rouhani and Obama held a historic 15-minute phone call, leading to the first direct contact between the two countries' leaders since 1979, raising hopes for better relations. This progress ultimately led to the 2015 Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, also known as the Iran nuclear deal. This limited Iran's nuclear program in exchange for sanctions relief. While it was a major milestone, it was controversial in the United States, and some tensions still remained. The election of Donald Trump as the President of the United States marked a major shift in American-Iranian relations, moving away from diplomacy and towards confrontation. In 2017, the Trump administration imposed a travel ban that included Iranian citizens. Then, in 2018, the United States withdrew from the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action and placed significantly stronger sanctions on Iran. In response, Iran threatened to resume unrestricted uranium enrichment and rejected new negotiations. Tensions escalated further in 2019, with incidences including alleged Iranian attacks on oil tankers in the Gulf of Oman, Iran shooting down a United States drone, and attacks on Saudi Arabia that were attributed to Iran by the United States. Although the United States considered military retaliation for this last incident, the Trump administration ultimately chose cyber attacks and increased sanctions instead. The situation worsened in 2020 when the United States assassinated Iranian General Qasem Soleimani, leading Iran to launch retaliatory missile strikes on U.S. forces in the region. While full-scale war was avoided, relations at the end of Trump's first term were defined by broken trust, rising hostility, and unresolved conflict. During the administration of President Joe Biden, the United States initially tried to return to the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, but negotiations with Iran ultimately failed. As talks broke down, Iran increased its uranium enrichment while the United States responded with additional sanctions. At the same time, attacks by Iranian-backed groups in the Middle East further raised tensions, especially with the start of the Gaza Strip war in 2023. However, in late 2023, the two countries reached a limited agreement involving a prisoner swap and the release of frozen Iranian funds by the United States, creating a brief détente in relations. By 2024, however, accusations that Iran attempted to interfere in the United States presidential election that year once again worsened relations, leaving them strained as Donald Trump prepared to return to office. During President Trump's second term, tensions with Iran escalated once more. Trump instated strong sanctions while also attempting to reopen negotiations, but Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei personally rejected efforts to negotiate. Throughout 2025, concerns over Iran's nuclear ambitions increased tensions with the United States. Although talks finally began in April of that year, they broke down after Iran was bombed by the United States, specifically targeting the nuclear sites at Fordow, Isfahan, and Natanz, with the United States briefly entering the 12-day war on the side of Israel. As a result of this, Iran immediately suspended negotiations. By late 2025 and early 2026, tensions remained high. Domestic protests inside Iran were met with a harsh crackdown, and the United States promised to respond. They did so by increasing their military presence in the Persian Gulf, sending carrier strike groups to the region. However, in February 2026, both sides cautiously returned to nuclear talks, showing that while a conflict seemed possible, neither side was ready to commit to a wider war. I would like to preface this slide with that this is an ongoing event, so if this is being watched after April 12, 2026, not all of the information will be accurate. Anyways, on February 28, 2026, after a month of negotiations, the United States and Israel launched surprise airstrikes across Iran in operations known as Epic Fury for the United States and Roaring Lion for Israel. Targeted were major cities like Tehran and Isfahan, with strikes hitting military and nuclear sites, infrastructure, and unfortunately some civilian areas were hit. During the attacks, Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei was killed in an Israeli airstrike, marking a major escalation of how this conflict would be fought. Iran responded to this attack with their own attacks on United States bases, Israel, and other countries in the region. Iran also closed the Strait of Hormuz, disrupting global trade. On March 4, 2026, the U.S. submarine USS Charlotte sank the Iranian ship IRIS Dana. This action has been labeled by some analysts as a potential war crime. On March 8, 2026, Mojtaba Khamenei, Iran's Supreme Leader's son, was elected as the new Supreme Leader of Iran, and he vowed to continue the fight. Throughout March, messaging from Donald Trump remained inconsistent, and the Strait of Hormuz stayed closed. Furthermore, in April, Trump made controversial threats on Truth Social, raising international concern. However, on April 7th, he announced a ceasefire agreement, which was mediated by Shehbaz Sharif and Asim Munir of Pakistan. As of now, negotiations are ongoing, with J.D. Vance working towards a formal peace agreement. I would like to say that one thing that has developed today was negotiations have broken down, and the United States plans on instituting a blockade of the Strait of Hormuz with the United States Navy. Thank you.